Hello and welcome to Briefly Everything. My name is Felix and today we're going to learn some history. Let us start around 1353 BCE and go for a little visit here in Egypt as a man, soon to be known as Akhenaten, becomes the pharaoh of Egypt. Up until this point, all societies were polytheistic, worshipping many gods, that means. But Akhenaten here is mainly known because, he actually favoured one, called Aten. So much so that he tried to conceal texts about other gods and even changed his own name from the previous not-so-godlike Amenhotep IV to Akhenaten, which meant the light of Aten. Well, it still means that. This was actually a huge thing at the time, as it was the first attempt in history at monotheism, and that is believing in one god. Akhenaten's son now, and the next pharaoh in line here, is King Tut, full name King Tut and King, which is a name you might recognise. King Tut's actually mostly known for being quite dead. Yes, dead indeed. Which, yes, it's an ironic thing to be famous for, but there you go. We found his corpse 100 years ago, and from it we've been able to learn a lot about the ancient world. King Tut was very young when he became pharaoh, and died merely at 18, without having achieved very much at all. Oh, poor little guy, or I guess, poor little pharaoh. We've also been able to deduce that he was probably in a lot of pain, and even died from one of his own broken bones. Oh, poor pharaoh, I guess I should say. So yes, King Tut, the poor one, is mostly known for being dead, because his dead broken bones have helped us understand a lot about the ancient ones. So I guess thank you, King Tut. Moving away from this dead guy and entering the history books, around 250 years ago, we have the Hittites. And at this point, they reached their apex. I hope you remember them. They were great at forging iron weapons and tools, so it's understandable that they were successful at expanding by, mainly overwhelming neighbouring civilizations who possessed inferior weapons. The most noteworthy thing that they left behind was actually their language. To give you a better idea, I want to show you a little tree here, so you can see how many languages stem from what we call Indo-european. So if we look at English and Spanish here, which are Germanic languages, and then look at Persian, Hindi and Bengali, they all have respective commonalities because they all partly derive from this guy, Sanskrit. Now Sanskrit is an obsolete language, but it too is related to Indo-European. And even though it's branched off a little way here, I want to show you some words here because it's actually quite incredible how much we actually still have in common with these guys. Sorry for respectfully butchering these Sanskrit words, but we have Pitter, meaning dad, Nama, dwar, and lub. Sounds almost like lube. Let's not think too much about that then. All very common words, as you can see, and all with the same origin from almost 4,000 years back. Very interesting indeed, I think at least. I hope you share that same thought with me. By the way, we've found traces of a place called Sindhu in Sanskrit. Later on the Persians called it Indus or Indus Valley, and that gave us both India and Hindu or Hinduism. So all of which is to thank Sanskrit for. Now 1279 BCE, over in Egypt, you might have heard the name Ramses. Now his formal title was Ramses II, but as he excelled the first Ramses, we tend to just ignore that he was actually the second one. So then this guy, Ramses, started reigning over Egypt, and he ruled actually for 66 relatively peaceful years, and he lived to be 95 and fathered some 150 children, which must have made for some awesome Father Day parties, not to mention some epic squabbles among the siblings. Now 5 years down the line, things will start happening in this area around here. This would be called Canaan and much of the areas around it, and we call it the Levant because to the Romans who came up with the name, that's where the sun, Levant, or rise up in Latin. Quite a few things will go down in this area, so it's good that we have our bearings right. We're not done with Egypt just yet, because in 1274, just in the beginning of Ramses' to-be long-lived reign, he and his army went to fight the Hittites, the Indo-European people who I mentioned earlier, who were successful conquerors, much thanks to their talent with forging iron. The Egyptians and Hittites faced off at Kadesh in the Levant, at what would be called the Battle of, well, you guessed it, Kadesh. There had obviously been plenty of battles before through history, but this one we've been able to recreate the tactics and developments of, and it's thought to have been the largest battle with chariots, maybe ever actually. I haven't even mentioned chariots yet, because it's actually quite difficult to tell exactly when they were invented, but this battle here is a good reference to when it was definitely used at least. The battle itself was a stalemate, and since no side lost, they both proudly claimed the victory themselves, in the same way that modern leaders, football managers and even politicians continue to do today. Now what a wonderful way to end a fight. We're all winners here, guys, no losers. Now some 16 years later, in 1258 BCE, the Egyptians and Hittites agreed to calm things down, so they formed history's first known peace treaty, which wasn't very useful at all actually, as you'll see both of these civilizations sort of dwindle away in only 70 years from now. So yes, that's it from me actually. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this video, as I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you and teaching you and learning these things as well. Let me know if you enjoyed it. If you did, please, well, yeah, you know what to do. I don't want to give you the whole drill. Again, thank you for watching. Bye bye.